Jordan!
Alright, sorry. Michael, you are not sitting in the right spot.
Yeah, he is.
Why would I have to sit there? No, he sits with the M.
No, he's always there.
Yeah, I'm an M.
Right.
Oh, where's my...
No, you're supposed to sit closer to that.
Is that how you classified it?
This is my
Yeah.
That is how you classify it.
No.
Just go Jordan, how did you classify it? By the first one, right here. What?
Yeah.
Whatever. So, all them over there are, most of them are N.
Okay, now remember, if you behave yourselves, you can lose your seating chart after spring break.
We're supposed to be sitting right here.
No, Donovan's supposed to be sitting way over there.
No, he's supposed to be sitting
My
right here.
seat's right there.
No, you're sitting right next to Allison.
Now you are.
Okay.
Can I move back there?
Allison's my friend, so.
You're
When
doing
did
nothing
this
to
happen?
spring break. Hopefully, if you behave, she will never be affected by this seating chart. But it's really more about Donovan.
Well, I should
Never affected.
Donovan, don't argue. No, not on that side, the other side. Alright, now
Right
please give the
here.
floor to Allison.
Right here. Right here, Mr. Fern. Yes!
So, yes.
Yes, Donovan.
Alright. So we're gonna start, but first I gotta point out the standards we're gonna be going by. The Civil War. Determine the significance of events of the Civil War. Fire Fort Sumter, major battles, Bull Run, Antietam, Vicksburg, Gettysburg. Enactment of the Emancipation Proclamation, Sherman's March, and surrender at Appomattox. So those are the standards. So we're gonna start out. We're gonna finish off the section we started yesterday, and then we're gonna get off onto an activity. But first, we gotta finish the section. So turn to page 502. Yes. You can start.
What?
502.
$492, you said?
502.
I was off for like 11 pages.
So you wanted to start?
Look,
Do you want to start or read this section on the northern economy?
The Civil War cost far more than any previous war. The Union had to use several strategies to save money. In some ways, however, war helped the most economy. To pay for the war, Congress established America's first income tax, or a tax some people pay. In 1861, a new agency, the Internal Revenue Bureau, oversaw the collection process. The Union also issued bonds worth millions of dollars. Still, taxes and bonds did not raise enough money. To get the funds at the general expenses more than $400 million in equipment. As the money supply increased, each dollar was worth less. In response, the Union started more competitive. New York was experiencing inflation, a rising prices and decreasing value of money. During the war, prices for goods nearly doubled.
Yes. So the more money you have in circulation, the less it's called buying power the money has, and so the prices go up. Yeah, you wanted to read the next section?
Yeah.
Economic benefits? Okay.
Okay, could I also read the Southern economy, the little one?
Sure.
The war helped the North's economy in several ways. Since many farmers went off to fight, there was a greater need for machines to plant and harvest crops. The purchase of reapers rose to nearly $165,000 during the war. As a result, farm production actually went up during the war. The wartime demand for clothing, shoes, guns, and other goods helped many northern industries. Some manufacturers made fortunes by profiteering.
Profiteering.
Profiteering. Profiteers charged excessive prices for goods that the government desperately needed for the war. The Southern
Economy.
For the South, war brought economic ruin. The South had to struggle with the cost of the war, the loss of the cotton trade, and severe shortages brought on by the Union blockade.
Okay. Yeah, you can read the economy stuff.
To raise money, the Confederacy imposed an income tax and a tax in kind. The tax in kind required farmers to turn over 1/10 of their crops to the government. The government took crops because it knew that Southern farmers would have little money. Like the North, the South printed paper money. It printed so much that wild inflation set in. By 1865, one Confederate dollar was worth only 2 cents in gold. Prices were especially high in Richmond, where a barrel of flour was $275 in early 1864. Potatoes were $25 a bushel, and butter was $15 a pound. The war did serious damage to the cotton trade, the South's main source of income. Early in the war, President Davis halted cotton shipments to Britain. He hoped to force Britain to side with the South in return for renewed shipments of cotton. The tactic backfired. Britain simply brought more cotton from Egypt and India. Davis succeeded only in cutting the South's income.
Effects of the blockade. Yeah, Jenny.
The Union blockade created a severe shortage in the South. Confederate armies sometimes had to wait weeks for supplies of food and clothing. With few factories of its own, the South bought many of its weapons in Europe. However, the blockade cut off most deliveries from across the Atlantic. To acquire goods, the government began building and running factories. Private manufacturers were offered contracts and draft exemptions for their workers if they started making war goods. For civilians, the blockade brought food shortage. The production of food became critical to the economy. Many plantations switched from growing cotton to raising grain and livestock, or animals raised for food. In some states, cotton production was limited.
Yes. Yeah, you can read the next section. Yeah, to the end.
Women of both the North and South played vital roles during the war. As men left for the battlefields, women took jobs in industry and on farms. Women's aid societies helped supply the troops with food, bedding, clothing, and medicine. Throughout the North, women held fairs and other fundraising events to pay for supplies. Nursing wounded. Women on both sides worked as nurses. At first, doctors were unwilling to permit even trained nurses to work in the military hospitals. But when the wounded men began to swarm on the hospitals, however, this attitude was changed. In fact, women performed there so well that the nursing became an accepted occupation for women after the war. Dorothea Dix, famous for her work reforming prisons and mental hospitals, and Clara Barton, who later founded the American Red Cross, both became nurses for the Union Army. So during their truce, the African American anti-slavery leader worked in the Union hospitals and in camps for free slaves. And in the South, Sally Tompkins set up a hospital in her community.
Yeah, I remember Dorothea Dix. I think it was in the last chapter. We talked about her reform to prisons and hospitals. So go back to page 503 for a minute. I wanted to show you this sort of the flow chart on the side here, because it's important to see the cause and effects laid out like this. So we'll see here the causes of the issues of slavery in the territories divides north and south. And then you have the abolitionists who want to end slavery. And so the South fears it will lose power in the national government. And so the southern states secede after Lincoln's elected. And so then the Confederates bomb Fort Sumter, and that's what starts the Civil War. And so then we have the Civil War. Then the effects we see come from that would be Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. The northern economy booms. South loses its cotton trade with Britain. And then we have total war destroys the South's economy, as we were just reading. The South suffered largely their cotton trade, and because remember how also slavery was very much connected to the cotton industry. And then hundreds of thousands of Americans killed on both sides. And then you have effects today. First point here: disagreement over states' rights persist. This is actually an issue today too, in some ways, because we still have the states' rights issue in certain things. Like if you've heard of some states have legalized marijuana and stuff, while other states would be completely opposed to it. That's one way it's applied today. The idea comes from the 10th Amendment, so that there's the idea of that persists, and so now we have African Americans have equal protection under the Constitution. But this was a process. This didn't happen immediately after the Civil War. Remember, we still had the Civil Rights Movement was 100 years later, so they still hadn't gained all their rights. But by today, they pretty much have equal rights. And then millions of Americans visit Civil War battlefields each year. So this is important to note because it's always good to see how the events in history affect later events and then affect us today. And so you can see that on this chart here. So just remember that. Okay. Now we are going to start an activity. So
We're going to be able to work in charges?
not really. I only do this by yourself, but I want to give you a bit more background because I don't think we went over it quite enough. That's how we should. The Emancipation Proclamation. So we did go over it a little bit yesterday. Remember, it was when Lincoln proclaimed that the slaves are free. But remember, it wasn't that all the slaves are free. Remember, what slaves did he specifically target at? Yes.
The Southern slaves.
Yes, the Southern slaves. But then did the Southern slaves instantly gain their freedom?
No, they had escaped.
Yeah, because the South didn't recognize Lincoln as president, and so the Emancipation Proclamation didn't really go into effect at that point because the South, they just didn't recognize Lincoln, and so and it also didn't apply to the slaves in the northern states, the border states like Missouri and stuff like that, because, well, Lincoln didn't want to lose their support and lose them to the Confederacy, because if he had freed the slaves there, he risked losing them. And so it was kind of a strategic move on his part. He wanted to, and largely symbolic too, because he wanted to say, okay, now he's going to take a stance against slavery publicly, but he's going to do it in such a way that is the most beneficial. So he sort of has this, he's sort of, in a sense, compromised because it's a very specific provision. But so that's what the Emancipation does. It declares that the slaves are free. So I'm going to give you these things. This is an activity related to the Emancipation Proclamation. Does someone want to hand these out? I think I'll go with. Sure, I'll let you do it. And then, alright, here's how this is going to work. Let's grab this.
It's up here too. You probably have to like She just did.
Does anyone have one?
What did it do?
What did it do? Is that what you're asking? It freed. Its point was that he claimed that the slaves in the South specifically were freed. That's what he claimed with it. You didn't give one for yourself. And so it was pretty much like a public declaration that he says, okay, I declare that the slaves in the Confederacy will be free. I mean, the slaves were finally free with the 13th Amendment some years later, but this was pretty much a statement to say that this was his intention. So, okay, what we're going to do here is, if you see here, right in the middle, sort of give an explanation of the purpose of the Emancipation Proclamation, and then put that in the middle. But then you see North and South here. They're calling this like an elevator door because it kind of looks like elevator doors. So fold it like this so you see where it is, and then you fold it like this. And so you have North and South here, and then if you open it up, you'll see what the Emancipation Proclamation is on the inside. And this is where you're supposed to write what the Emancipation is about. But on these panels here, you would write what the effect on each side was. So you would write on this side what the effect and the attitude was for the North, and then on this side the effect for the South. So, or the attitude that each side had about it. So I can.
Wait, can you hold it up again?
So you see this? Okay, take these and then fold it like this, and then fold it back like this.
I don't get it, Kim.
You don't get it.
This is good enough.
Why?
Wait a
I did. And a thing. Wait, is you stupid or you are stupid?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I should get it.
In the middle is supposed to be the part where you talk about what the emancipation is all about, what its purpose. And then this is for the attitude of the North side and the attitude of the South.
Here, I'll show you. Hold it down.
Do you need help too? Or is that mine?
I need mine too. Mine's really bad. I need mine too. How, like, what was the purpose? Yeah, I think no, not the purpose.
And I got mad.
Just the emancipation proclamation. Basically, on the back of the North and South, how it was.
Well, they have a
Does anyone need help with the idea of what it was about or with how the attitudes were? Hey, where's yours? Oh, he's doing it for you?
Because I'm off in that way.
Yeah, I think
Yours
it
are
is.
all the way closed.
Did I get it?
Oh, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so do you know what to write?
So you write down the purpose.
Yeah,
down
but
the
the purpose of, okay. Let's see, can you tell me, what was the purpose of the emancipation? Or what was the goal?
It was to free African slaves in the South.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know how to put it.
So that's really right.
Yeah, you can write that. Or some variation of that.
Tyra.
Like this.
Let's see, can you
What
Me,
Yeah.
stop laughing a little bit. I'm offended.
Yeah, you write what it's about in the middle, and then on the side, on the side, north and on the south, right, what their reaction to it was.
North and South. Boom.
What? You don't
Free African
Are you lost?
slaves. Free African American slaves in the South.
No, I wonder what the, what was
Like,
about.
I'm just kidding.
All these people are like so curious as to who I am.
I know who you are.
No, I didn't tell her.
So,
Huh?
it was a declaration.
She's saying that
I know. Ashley
Aaron,
said that.
Aaron.
I only told one person. Warren. Because she'll read out of me.
You're lying. Liar. He's liar.
When Jerry dressed me to that, I can pop my collarbone on the plate. You can go right down and just slide. And that's probably why it hurts.
I need a pencil. I made everybody's thing. Somebody has to have a pencil.
I got a pen.
I don't have
And
enough.
you can fill it. I had people put their
Don't steal my pen, bro.
Oh yeah, because
I got lead.
Don't say it.
yes.
Alright, then you can just lay.
What do you think of the South?
I also have
Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Is this yours? So what? What do you think of the South?
That was funny when I scared all the
Alright, hold on a second. I'm gonna give you guys some ideas because it seems some people are confused as to.
That was fun. That's terrible.
Alright, hey everybody, calm down. I'm gonna run over a few attitudes of like the North and the South just to give you some ideas. So in the North, the abolitionists really liked it. They were, yes? After I'm finished explaining this. The abolitionists were overjoyed, or they really liked the idea. And then also, and then the Union Army also saw it as an opportunity to recruit more black soldiers. The South, of course, didn't like it. They were angry. Slaves had heard about it in the South liked it, but not all the slaves in the South actually heard about it. That was another thing, is that it had the South hadn't allowed a lot of them to hear about it because, like I said, they didn't recognize Lincoln as president, and they would have an interest in not letting their slaves hear about it. So we have that in the South, and then effectively, slavery did continue in the South also because they didn't recognize Lincoln, at least as long as the war was going on.
So it states that, like, what states will be free?
It states specifically that the states in the South will be free, the states that are in the Confederacy. But they didn't, but the Confederate States didn't recognize it.
But the South lost a lot of slaves.
So while Lincoln proclaimed the states to be free, the South didn't recognize the proclamation.
But the slaves.
In the South, in the Emancipation Proclamation, it says that they get to keep their slavery.
No, it's
That are free.
it says that slavery should end, but the South doesn't recognize it.
No, but then the South lost a lot. I mean,
Do you want us to
slaves-
write that?
The,
That
You
the
can write
South
that, yeah.
the
Or,
South.
yeah, if you were writing something for the South, say South refused to recognize the proclamation.
No, but
That
then the
could be
South
here, right?
lost some slaves too because they.
Yeah, because slaves ran away, and then as the war went on, more and more slaves ran away. So I mean, they didn't lose it that way. So yeah. So do you kind of get the idea now? Is there any more questions? Yeah. Oh, you need to go? Sure, you can go now. Are you having trouble?
What?
Are you having trouble?
No.
Oh.
I got it.
You got it? Alright, what did you write?
I read it a little bit.
You can probably expand it a little. Add another sentence or something.
Oh, we don't understand it.
Or give it a little bit of detail if you can. You understand? Okay, let me see what you have. Alright. That's pretty good. So, I'm not completely wrong.
Okay. Can you come here?
Yeah?
Okay. Tell me if this is okay.
Okay. The proclamation states that we should work with the slaves in the South Africa. Specify that. That's. You said this proclamation states that the slaves in the South Africa should change state the slaves. Does that make more sense?
Alright, that's good. Got an email?
What does it say?
Says it was the free of American slaves in the South, also
So, on the north and south, what do we have to write?
Oh, yeah.
What?
What do we have to write on the north and south?
Pretty much their attitudes or how they received it. I go saying
So the south is mad.
Yeah, they're mad. You can say that, or they refuse to recognize it.
On the back of the north and south, you say how they receive it.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Rock,
Yes. Yes.
tell me, how does it?
Well, the abolitionists in the North were for it. And there's also
But the pro-slavery.
oh, but yeah, there was also well, there's the thing is that pro-slavery states in the North, it didn't apply to them anyway, but they probably a mixed bag of that. Maybe some of those border states saw what would be coming after them. But it didn't apply to them specifically so that they wouldn't join them with Confederacy.
I got some stuff on the back of the book, so. My
Yes.
bad.
Is that changed?
Maybe. You still bored, right there.
This is Chinese cheese. Picture proof. It's not. You're smoking. Let me see that paper. It's Chinese. I'll show you. See, I'll write it right on the That is just the Chinese cheese. Why are we talking about Chinese? Me and Tyler are drawing Chinese cheeses that lives in the South. Interesting. Or in America, I should say. You can draw. I can't draw cheese.
And this one. You're gonna be like,
Like the real life cat.
Yeah, it's actually
There was other picture I thought you went.
That is French cheese.
What?
That is French. Who brought me this book? Or asked me to fix it?
she just loves to break things.
Very big. Wait, are you fixing the book?
Wow, Kendra. Wow.
It's a doll, Annabelle. Blood dripping down her.
Actually,
Yes.
I
just said it was
No, that's
Korean
Jesus.
That's Korean Jesus.
Yeah, and he has like blood going down his face.
Do you have anything yet?
That's crazy. That's funny, dude.
Oh no, yeah, we're talking about a movie. There's a Korean Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Step it up a minute. And you
Yeah, you gotta write.
dang it, Aaron. Jordan. What? I'm not behind me, so I can't sign my name on all your stuff. Alright.
Oh, sorry.
Pass it back. Back. Yeah, right.
Hey, well, you're his buddy. You write something on your stuff. Yeah, I have proof of
I'll
it.
just sign a name on the back.
In fact, there's a whole paper that Red did it.
No, Red did like 2 pages.
I know, but you did the rest.
I did the whole paper, like all of it.
You see how that's my signature? I'm thinking about doing it like this. I don't know why I did that.
I just like wrote down.
Which one do you like
Oh
better?
my god.
Right.
You cannot look.
Cool movies in there.
That's true.
I just like the atoms on them. Do you know you can forge something? Here, let me see if I can forge that. Here, I can show you. I wonder how Danny came up with that. Fire, I'll figure it.
Roll like all over my papers just to
I'm gonna break it. Except for Den's name.
There it is. I signed a couple of them. Look.
I saw a movie that says if you look at it upside down, it's easier to
She can't leave you with
Okay. I don't know why that would work.
Yeah, see, that's not
Wait. What? There's like several names on this. Whose is this?
It's all over the back, too. The one with no pen is hers. I just signed my name on it. Hey, show them all your folders. Show them all your folders.
Yes?
Here, I don't want it. You can use it out. Oh, look, he signed Jay Porter right there. See, that was the one I figured it out. What's your other one, Tim? Which one? Yeah, I got it.
Because he just did this out
I
of
signed
nowhere.
every command now.
Oh yeah, did you just scratch it into my? Oh yeah.
Then
You scratched it into my binder.
Then your other one too.
Which one?
Your light green one.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I saw my name and found
N equals D equals
Oh,
D
yeah.
equals D
No,
equals D.
that one right there.
Wow. You know, they're gonna be looking at like this like equal sign. D, D, C, D, C, D, C, D.
Wants to be my new buddy.
I'm right over here.
If I see your binders, I kind of get signed.
Huh?
Yeah, did you show him the paper, Jordan?
Alright, show him the paper.
Jordan practiced for the signature.
Jordan is my buddy. So I found my name all over and try to figure it out.
I think Brett signed it like a couple times, and I signed it like.
Is this good?
Yeah, just a second. Let me see. Let me see if you have. You should. Hey, don't throw paper.
Oh wait, I forgot to put my name.
No, man.
Dude, I have paper.
You can get.
Can I get?
Whoa, bro.
Hey.
Hey.
Can I get?
No, because Aaron's his buddy now.
Yeah, Aaron's my buddy.
Oh, that's
my new
awesome.
signing buddy. Remember that?
You've been rejected. See all these sad faces? Don't mind the happy ones, the sad ones are.
You see this?
I was looking happy to see like when you get all these out. It's kind of like a normal.
Yeah, but if you turn it like this, they're like D, D, C, D,
Right now.
Dennis! Dennis! That just ruined it.
What are you doing?
Stop, Michael.
Hey, what you got? Hey, hey, sit down. What are you doing?
Here's my paper.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, huh?
He's videoing.
What are you doing?
Look at this.
Hey, don't mess with that.
Dennis, look. I know he's crap all over this.
No, you
Hey,
didn't.
Michael, don't throw stuff.
Go sit down.
Just sit down. Hey, hey, if you're finished, you can
He
sit
just
down
hit
and
me in the
read.
face.
Michael, did you hit him in the face?
Yes, he just whacked me in the face with his
And
shirt.
and
When I was throwing away.
one like that.
Well, I probably got
Can you send him to the office? He just whacked me in the face with his jacket, and he keeps taking our desk.
Yeah.
Michael.
He just whacked me in the face.
And he keeps taking my desk.
You suck.
Aaron, why are you up here?
I was writing some paper.
I was never at a bicycle.
And he hit me.
I hate remember those two fingers? Put one in front of it and one behind it.
Where's mine?
It's a guy. It's in your phone number. I win, right? Yeah. I got it. Inside, so you don't give me that much. I already have paper. Like, yeah, I'll you don't really change. I should not tie it back to that.
Oh, yeah.
I know my dad like that, and then he's so much.
Yeah?
So it can't go to
The restroom?
I like to go to the library.
Well, for how long?
I'm just gonna stay there, and you don't have to. I don't have to go to the buildings, and you just stay there, grab a book, and go.
You want to go now, though, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm confused. Or, you're going to stay in there until the bell rings?
Not probably not until the bell rings. They're only looking for like 1 book.
Okay, you can go.
Tinfoil. Sticky tinfoil.
Alright, is everyone finished?
What is it?
My handwriting's like I hate. What's the planet geography?
Where's Scott?
You eat now.
Why did you want to
No, I'm going to get it. No, he's not. Can I go get it? What? Put my foot up. I will snap you.
Harrison!
You ruined it! I will touch it.
Hey! That was perfect.
My paper.
Well, most of them
Is that what we're in soccer? I mean,
Sit down. Scott. Sit down.
You said he was your
That's a new book.
Like if you start going like this, right now.
There you go.
Holy crap.
yeah.
I did big names because I was trying to sound like Kirsten's name.
Yes.
Always read the last page of the book and it's gonna be 100 on
The last pages.
Hey, I'm nice.
No, I actually skipped like the last chapter in the book because they never ask you questions about it.
That's not. I knew your last chapter. You guys skip like the first 10
I saw
chapters.
you take my pencil. Give it.
I'm not being a jerk.
Yeah, stop them.
Say it wrong. That's not wrong.
You're fine.
I went to Taco Bell and I said my name's Juan. And the guy said, he's like, Juan?
Alright, everybody, quiet down. I'm gonna ask you. Alright, so someone can someone tell me, hey, can someone tell me what were some of the ideas of or some of the reactions to it in the north?
In the north?
Well, they got more black soldiers.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
I think like they got evolutions that were against everything doing that
Your body is a temple.
I suppose they could have. I mean, that you were saying that they thought you could go far enough.
Yeah.
I suppose
Can I
they could,
draw a
yeah.
smiley face?
Because it exempted like
Say on my
the
leg.
border
Well, it's
states.
just like putting a smiley face.
Yeah, I suppose hardcore abolitionists might have a problem with that. Anyone else have any opinions on the North?
If they
Stop with you. My back.
Emancipation Proclamation made abolitionists special
Yeah.
because they got what they wanted basically. But in the end, they ended up not getting what they wanted and South took their
And what was the reaction in the South? Hey, Michael, pay attention. What was the reaction in the South? Yes.
They lost a lot of slaves.
But
Or they were.
Oh, I thought that's it.
what was their yes?
They were mad and they didn't want to look in the refuse President's Proclamation.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They refused to recognize the proclamation. Because they didn't recognize Lincoln as president for first of all, and so then they wouldn't want to enforce this proclamation. So they mostly tried to ignore it, and they were angered by it. Yes. Anyone have something to add to that? If they have. Well, another thing you could say is the attitude of the slaves in the South. At least those that were aware of it would have been happy for the idea, but some of them weren't even aware of it.